So I'm going to talk about where to move and why people are considering moving at this point in their life. And going through the process really takes time and patience, and you really have to discover where you want to move. I got to this point by doing the ask method. I talked to hundreds and hundreds of baby boomers over the last few years and just asked them what their biggest challenges were when it comes to downsizing your home for retirement. And so it really kind of resonated with me as well, because it's part of my journey. And my wife Christine and I are trying to figure out what we're going to do next as well. And a lot of parallels with other people that are in our same age demographic. So back in the 80s, I moved to Mississauga. I graduated from school. I moved to Mississauga from Guelph, Ontario. I got a job. I got married. I had kids. I bought a big family home, and that was 35 years ago. And it's hard to believe, but now I'm starting to think about what's next for me. And Royal LePage did a poll of Canadians across Canada, and they found that 20% of baby boomers are planning to resize their home over the next 5 years across the country. Some within the GTA, some will be moving to the outskirts of the GTA and the ring around the city, possibly using equity savings on their purchase to help them fund retirement. So buy a lower cost property and invest the rest. Others plan to move to a bungalow in the city, maybe a townhouse, or move up to a high-rise condo. And still others are just purchasing a cottage or some kind of a recreational property in the south. So it's really a chance for a lot of people to do something new. And there's a lot of people are stuck in the situation that they're in. They've been living in the same place for 20, 30, 40 years, and they really don't know a lot how to move forward. So we're going to help with that today. So a lot of us baby boomers bought houses, back in the 80s and 90s. We weren't particularly savvy investors. It just happened to be that we bought a house. And you can see, looking at the Toronto Real Estate Board housing market charts, that that was a really good investment. And I wish I had bought 2 properties when I was in my 20s and 30s. It would have been a good investment. Our kids' generation these days won't be benefiting from the equity and the home price increases that we've seen, and they'll have to be actually better investors and be more savvy on investment than we ever had to be. So the housing problem in Mississauga and the GTA is that there's just a lot of baby boomers that aren't moving. There's over 5 million spare bedrooms in Ontario, which is a lot of construction of new housing if it had to be built, and it's left boomers. Boomers are stuck because they don't have a lot of options or don't know where they want to go, so they're staying and living in place. But the next generation that is coming along is finding that there's not enough inventory in the key areas of Mississauga to buy a house. So for baby boomers looking at where to move, it really takes some research. Maclean's has a great website that you can go to. It's the Maclean's top communities to live in Canada, and you can actually look at Canada. You can zero in and look at just Ontario. And the cool thing about this this website that they have is that it also has a calculator on the left-hand side, so you've got weightings for different things that you might be interested in. So if amenities or culture and community are more important, you can kind of zero that up, and it'll change the rankings for the cities. But you can see Burlington was high up there in the list. Grimsby, Ottawa was number 3. Oakville, New Tecumseh, and then there's spots out west as well, Salmon Arm. So I've left a link here for this best communities to live in Canada, and you can go ahead and have a look at that link when I send you the workbook after this. So some things to consider when you're changing your lifestyle is first off, get your spouse's agreement, because hopefully you're moving together for where you're going. And there's There's climate is important for some people, and if you move into the southern part of Ontario, it's going to be a little bit warmer than if you move up to say a place like Huntsville. Family and friends is important, and I think for me, one of the most important things when you're trying to consider where you're going to move is to pick a growing community. So it's a growing community is usually a welcoming community, and you just want to be in a mode where when you move to a place that there's other people like yourself that are moving there. And Collingwood for me is a place that's a growing community that's welcoming. There's a lot of social networks, a lot of just a lot of community and a welcoming environment. So there's a list of other things you can look at. Everybody's got their own weighting for this, but I think these things, if you can consider these things when you're trying to consider where you want to move next, is you can start to use this to start to make a list. Check out Google Maps. It's a great way to start to look at areas that could be of interest. Schedule a tour of homes, and call me or call a realtor in some of the communities that you might be interested in, and you certainly can start touring neighborhoods and get pointed in the right direction there. So I think for baby boomers, thinking about what's next is you got to think outside of the box. And I don't know that there's a real drive on these days for these RVs now, and there's a lot of people, including baby boomers, that I think they call them escapers now. So they pack up everything they have onto a truck and a trailer, and they just go and travel. And so if you actually Google escapers, you're going to see a lot of people like talking about their RVs and how they're handling things. But I think you really got to start thinking a little bit differently to actually get over the hump of starting to get some forward action and movement of where you're going to do next. So I think you got to discover a little bit about your why, balancing the rings of your life. Certainly a lot of boomers are still going to be in business, and that's going to be important even into their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Financial family is important for a lot of boomers where you got grandkids. So I think you got to start filling out, looking at what's important to you, and filling out the blanks here of these things that I've mentioned here. But I think it really, if you start making a list of things that are important to you, then you'll start going in the right direction. And working with one of my clients recently, Barb did up a list for me of what she was looking for, and that made her to think about what was next for her and what she wanted out of the next phase of her life. Her kids had moved on, and she was a single lady, and so she made up this list, and then we were able to move on from there. A vision board is a good way to get going on finding your why and finding out where you want to move next. And my wife and I did this together. We just had a Saturday night. We just went online. We clipped some images and printed them off, put them onto a vision board, and then we posted it. And so we add things to it. And for us, it's a way to get agreement about what we want to do, because getting agreement between spouses is so important for figuring out what to do next. But when you can visualize it and you have a list and you can visualize it, then you're getting some forward momentum on figuring out where to move next. So if you're thinking about a condo, there's lots of options for condos. Some of the things I think about a condo that you want to consider are just who's living in the condo. What's the culture of the condo like? A lot of I think as you find a place to live, you probably want to have something that's that matches kind of who you are, and you probably don't want to get into a condo building that is older senior citizens if you're still in your 50s and 60s and 70s. And so just a few things to think about. Some condos don't allow pets, so if you've got pets, then you need a pet-friendly condo. You need to look at the reserve fund and the liabilities in the building that you're considering, or buildings that you're considering. And I think typically baby boomers want larger units and with nicer amenities in the building that they're at in good locations. So So some of my top picks for condo apartments would be 6500 Montevideo here in Meadowvale. 812 Burnham Thorpe is in Etobicoke, just on Burnham Thorpe and the Black Creek, so just over the border of Mississauga. And number one here in Ontario, I like those three buildings. They have good size units, great locations, and they're reasonably priced with reasonable condo fees. Some new building options, if you're thinking about a condo for new build, the Valhalla Town Square is starting to occupy this year. Phase 2 is coming soon. It's about $800 a square foot. The Lake and Town stacked townhomes by Menkes is down on the lakeshore, just around Humber in that area. They're pre-selling right now. Occupancy is 2022, mid 600s, and you need a 15% deposit on it. If you're looking for new build options, Buzz Home is a good place to go to. There's a really good website. You can put in the city that you're interested in, and most of the new home developments are in there as well. I would highly recommend doing some of your research that way as well and getting started online. Some of the townhomes that are my favorites are the Chase in Erin Mills, the Enclave in Erin Mills, and Broad Hollow in Erin Mills. All nice sized townhomes, 2-car parking, good locations, and well-managed complexes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about life leasing because I think if you're looking, especially outside of Mississauga, life leasing is something that we see. It's kind of new and kind of old. Some of the new developments are life lease. You don't own the property at all. You have the right to occupy the unit, but you also get equity increases in the price over the years. So you don't own anything. You don't have the responsibility for anything. It's a little bit lower cost to do a life lease, I think typically people like life leases because of the lower cost. I think that's probably typically why life leasing is good. Some examples of life leases I've given at the bottom there. The Village at St. Elizabeth Mills in Hamilton, Bayview Mills in Bayfield, and Parkbridge Retirement. They have communities all over Canada. So I guess to compare life lease versus condo ownership versus rental, if you rent, you don't own the property, you have no equity, you're not registered on title, you don't pay a monthly fee other than utilities, and you don't participate in management. Condominiums, you own them, you have an equity in it, you're registered on title, you pay a monthly fee, and you can participate in management. Life lease, you don't own the property, but you do have equity. So if you buy it for, say, $500,000 today, and you sell it next year for $600,000, then you get an equity increase in the price. And again, you're not registered on title. You typically do pay a monthly fee for the maintenance, and you might have a residence council, but you're not part of the decision-making process in the life lease. So there's some links there you can go to and have a look at that. The other option that we see out there is land leasing. An example of that is the Village by the Arboretum in Guelph. It's sponsored by the University of Guelph. And so you own the structure, but you don't own the land. So you have basically when you buy it, they give you a lease, an ongoing lease for the land. You pay maintenance fees, but it's a 55 plus community. They have recreation facilities. They also have like a retirement residence there that does offer meals and that kind of thing as you get older. But you can move into when you first move in, you can move into something like just a detached bungalow, such as this one. It's recently was listed for $689, sold for $775. It's a detached bungalow in this community, double car garage, nice community. It's got great facilities like a Olympic-sized pool, and really well maintained right on the grounds for the University of Guelph. And I think the university maybe developed this community for the graduates that were coming back after retiring and coming back to Guelph. So there's an example of a land lease. So I'm going to go into my favorites. So my top pick for if you're going to go to Florida is Sarasota. There's a link to some information about Sarasota. The thing I like about Sarasota is that it's a mixed community. You have young and old. You have all kinds of different residence types. You have bungalows. You have high-rise condos. You have semi-detached. But there's a huge arts and entertainment community in Sarasota. It's right on the Gulf side of the ocean. The beautiful beaches, you have Siesta Key and Lido Key, which are some of the top beaches in North America. Lots of shopping, restaurants, and a really nice downtown that's all quite walkable with good transportation and quite reasonably affordable as well. So I'm going to give you my top 7 places to move if you're thinking about getting out of Mississauga or the GTA. And this is places that I've jumped in my car. I've gone and searched them out. Stratford for me is number 7 on the list of my list. I like the amenities of and the arts and entertainment of Stratford. I like it's close into the GTA if you want to get back into the GTA. It's got lots of parks. It's got a nice downtown with sort of the Victorian style buildings. There's new development going on there as well, so there's lots of options for housing and lots of different housing types, and it's quite affordable as well compared to Mississauga. I love the Muskoka region as well, especially Bracebridge. The Muskoka region is really made up of different communities. You got Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, Huntsville, Port Carling. I like Bracebridge itself. It's a welcoming community. You've got a really good sense of being welcome. It's the gateway to the Muskoka Lakes there, so if you're a boater, there's a lot of summer activity there. It's really affordable. There's new development going on. There's a development, a 55 plus community that was put in by Mattamy with bungalows recently, and additional ongoing development around Bracebridge. But it's got a state-of-the-art hospital. And it's only a couple hours out of the GTA if you want to get back to the airport. Georgina, I love Georgina because it's on the south side of Lake Simcoe. There's some 55 plus communities in Georgina. It's called Hitchrow Landing is one of the developments there. So if you're a boater, there's all kinds of options there for boating, for marinas. Lots of winter activities as well, a good sense of community, and it's right on the 404. So if you want to get to the airport, it's just a real easy access into the Toronto because they put the 404 extension in over the last couple of years to make it easy access there. Burlington is high on the Maclean's best place to live as well. You're out of the hustle and bustle of Mississauga and Toronto. But there's lots to do in Burlington. Still reasonably priced homes, a lot of different housing types available. And if you want to get into the Niagara region, it's quick to get into Niagara as well. So you're kind of in between, and it's a growing community as well. Niagara region is one of my favorites as well. It's for one thing, it's beautiful. There's all kinds of things to do for leisure. A lot of different really unique communities within the Niagara region. You have St. Catharines, you have Beamsville, you got Grimsby, you got Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake. You've got the wine country there with all the vineyards, the orchards in Niagara region. Lots of outdoor community center. We took a trip down there recently and went to Balls Falls there. And it's just really great outdoor space, lots of golf courses and lots of different 55 plus communities as well. And you don't really need a 55 plus community to be in a spot where you've got like-minded people and that suits your needs. But I think Niagara is a little bit warmer as well, which I like. Easy access into the U.S. and certainly they're expanding the GO train service into the Niagara region as well. which will be opening things up there for future development. It's right on the Niagara Peninsula there too for recreation and green space. Ottawa is high on the Maclean's list as well. It's high on my list. I love Ottawa. I've got family there as well. There's just a whole range of things to do in the Ottawa region. It's lower price, so you can cash in equity out of your Mississauga home and or your GTA home and move into the Ottawa region. And the region includes not only just like downtown Ottawa, which is about 1 million people, but you have all the surrounding areas like Stittsville and Kempville and Mississippi Mills, and so there's a lot of communities, small communities just outside of Ottawa. They're only about a 30-minute drive, and you can be into Ottawa for the amenities that you're looking for. They've been expanding the light rail transit system in Ottawa, and the transit system in Ottawa is second to none as well. Lots of arts and entertainment, lots of museums and culture. And then the Gatineau Hills are so close by for things like the Nordic Spa. If you like to hike or adventure outdoors, the Gatineau Park is right there. And then winter skiing as well. Certainly Tremblant is only a 2-hour drive if you wanted to go to Tremblant, but there's a lot of skiing close into the Ottawa, right into downtown Ottawa as well. So for me, Ottawa is right up there in the top. Number one for me is South Georgian Bay, Collingwood specifically for me because of the water in the summer, skiing in the winter, and just a lot of different communities around Collingwood and throughout the South Georgian Bay that would meet the needs of different people. So if it's a growing community, it's welcoming. There's a lot of social clubs, a lot of networking groups, and if you want to work, there's still there are lots of employment around the Collingwood area as well. So I guess my advice to you is don't sit on your plans to downsize. It takes time and effort and some perseverance to figure out what you want to do next, because there's we always have some resistance to figure out what we want to do when we want to make changes in our life. So if you need some help, Royal LePage has a network of over 18,000 realtors, over 600 offices across Canada. And if you wanted to find some help to get set in the right direction in a community that you're interested in, even if you wanted to go out to Chilliwack, BC, I can get you help started to find somebody that would help you out there.